heard from one of my revered teachers, the great Rav Mottel Zilber, that not just the Baal Shem Tov, who's considered the founder of the Hasidic movement, but also his students and his students' was a gift from heaven to remedy the downtrodden Jewish people at the turn of the 17th century. Many of my friends have heard the first story, and they say, well, we want to know more. We want to know more about the players. We want to know more about these personalities, where they fit, who are the teachers, who are the students, and who are the students of the students. So I also heard that there's people who have relatives that have ADHD, some of them, and they can't take more than just a short story. So what we're going to do is make a short story for Facebook and a longer version with background and also maybe a little bit of applied understanding the story or for YouTube. So please, if you can, make people aware of that, please subscribe. Today, God willing, we're going to start at the root, the founder, the father of the Hasidic movement, which is so much part of our Jewish world today, the holy Rabbi Baal Shem Tov, who was born before 1700s, but we consider him he's basically lived in the early 1700s. And from him spread out students, also his offspring, his grandson, Rabbi Baruch Mimezbush, his great-grandson, Rav Nachman from Breslev, many tzaddikim, all stem from the holy Baal Shem Tov. So he was born to elderly parents and orphaned at a very early age, and spent a lot of time in the forest, and also a lot of time in a state of being not revealed until he was 36 years old. And then he decided that it was time to teach and started to draw some of the greatest minds of the Jewish people towards him. And he moved to Mezbush. At the same time, in Mezbush, before him, there was a great tzaddik, Reb Zev Katzitz, who's also in the story for today. He's actually buried right next to the Baal Shem Tov. He's considered a peer and also one of the closest students of the Baal Shem Tov. Reb Zev was the Rav of Chirin, and he moved to Mezbush before the Baal Shem Tov. When the Baal Shem Tov came, he was actually opposed to him and then became one of his closest students. In those days, there was only really the Toldos, Rabbi Yaakov Yosef of Pono, that wrote. Everyone else just basically listened, and from them emanated the Hasidic world. So without further ado, for today's story, the Baal Shem Tov and Reb Zev. One year, several weeks before Rosh Hashanah, the holy Baal Shem Tov, the Besht as he's known, called one of his closest students, one of the righteous Reb Zev Katzis, and he told him, this year, Reb Zev, you're going to blow the shofar for our congregation. I want you to spend the next couple of weeks studying the Kitvei Ari, the writings of the Arizal from Tzfas, who wrote down the intentions that a person's supposed to have when he's blowing the shofar. Reb Zev was filled with joy on one hand for the honor of being the person that the Baal Shem Tov chose for this important mitzvah, and at the same time trepidation, the responsibility that rested on his shoulders. So he spent the weeks preparing himself, and even wrote down on a piece of paper the important things that he would remember, he would place in front of him when he was blowing the shofar. And finally the day came, and Reb Zev was standing there at the bima, at the center of the shul, the Baal Shem Tov standing on one side, and the person called the Makir on the other side. And Reb Zev put his hand in his pocket to pull out the piece of paper, and it's gone. Now, when Reb Zev realized that the paper was on, he was sure he put it in his pocket, he felt that it wasn't there. It only caused him to draw a blank because he's tried to remember what was on the paper, and he totally drew a blank. He was lost. And he was forced to blow the shofar like a horn without any understanding whatsoever. Reb Zev blew the shofar with tears in his eyes, like a person that knew nothing. And he tried as hard as he could not to make eye contact with his holy teacher, and went and sat in the corner for the rest of the prayers. After the prayers were over, the holy master, the Baal Shem Tov, came over to Reb Zev with a gigantic smile. Good Yom Tov, Reb Zev. We've never heard a blowing of the shofar like that. And Reb Zev, before he could even tell the Baal Shem Tov what happened, the Baal Shem Tov says, you know, Reb Zev, in heavens, there are many keys to open up chambers to go higher and higher. The secret intentions called the kavanot of the Arizals are keys. But there's one key that opens up all the doors. And that's the keys of a broken heart. Reb Zev, you opened up all of the gates. This, my dear friends, is not just another story. This really is the cornerstone of the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov. This is the master key to the heart of Hashem. For after all, Hashem is ultimately one. He is simple. He loves simple people without errors. The Baal Shem Tov came to the world to teach us that each and every one of us has the ability to connect with Hashem, even if we're simple people. In fact, Rav Nachman explains in the Kutei Moharan that even the greatest tzaddikim, when they approach a mitzvah with all of their knowledge, it's a mitzvah for them to cast away all of their knowledge and perform the mitzvah without any errors, as if they don't know anything. So we're about to approach the holy days of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. So remember this no matter who you are, no matter what level you are, no matter how much you prepared yourself. In the end, Hashem wants from you a broken heart, a simple Jew approaching the Creator with that heart in your hands. And that's what the Baal Shem Tov came to the world to teach us. Have a wonderful Shabbos, and don't forget, it's going to be the best Shabbos ever. Hey, did you like this video? Please click the subscription button and the bell icon so you'll get notified when we upload a new video.